For it. You can share this if you want to invite other people to join along. Otherwise, you can just stay tuned while we have a conversation. Based on a conversation that I've been having with my son, who will be 8 years old in 2 days. I'm like, OMG, where did the time go? Is it really possible that I have an almost 8-year-old? Cecilia! Oh, missing me today. Thank you. I was missing me today too. So welcome everybody. If you're just joining, my name's Katherine McIntosh. I'm founder of, there goes my dryer. I am the founder of the No Judgment Diet. And, I discovered a long time ago that if I stopped judging my body, stop judging my food, stop judging my choices for food, and stop trying to get it right, stop feeling like I was always wrong, then my life completely changed. And, so I go on here and have conversations with really information for how you can apply these tools to your daily life. Now, I use a lot of tools from Access Consciousness. I'm an Access Consciousness certified facilitator, but I also use a lot of stuff from just life, from screwing life up and dusting myself off and getting back up. And so what if there was no such thing as failure? What if there was only not trying or not putting yourself out there or not doing? Because the reality is every choice that we make opens the door to a different possibility. Now, I feel so freaking fortunate to be able to facilitate the tools of Access Consciousness. I feel so fortunate to have been able to travel the world. I got a book coming out soon, which we will keep you tuned on, which is really all about when you let go of judgment, you can listen to what's true for you. You can listen to the whispers and roars, and they may not make any sense to anyone else. And that's what I found. And I don't know if any of you found that. So as you're joining, and if you'd like to ask a question or you want to share an aha, please feel free to write it in. If you want to share this with somebody else, please feel free to share. But what I've discovered is the more that I trust my intuition. So sometimes it shows up and my heart starts to pitter patter. Sometimes it shows up and my stomach, like kind of almost like the sensation of butterflies are really light. And sometimes it shows up and it's like, oh my God, I just got punched in the gut. And so I believe that our body is always inviting us to co-create possibilities. So if my body reacts in a not so fun way, that's my clue. Maybe don't go that way. Maybe don't choose that. Maybe don't go there. And you know what? Hello, Rachel. We all ignore our awareness a lot, right? How many of you have done that? My first marriage, I was walking down the aisle and I was like, yeah, probably shouldn't do this. I'll deal with it later. I'll just say I do and then I'll deal with it later. Well, I dealt with it later and it was a very painful, very abusive, very costly marriage, right? And so oftentimes we think that we need to have the experience of something in order to know about it. And what I would invite you to consider is, what if you already have the knowing of it? You just have to be willing to let yourself know that you know. And guess what? You may not know here, but your body definitely knows. And so I want to talk a little bit about a conversation that I've been having on and off for the last several years with my almost 8-year-old son. So he'll be 8 in 2 days. I can't, where does the time go? So insane to me. And I'm so grateful for him. He teaches me so much. And so one of the things I taught him a long time ago, where I'd say he's a very emotional person. So he's extremely sensitive. He's also really psychic. And sometimes in an 8-year-old body, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or 7-year-old body, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense, or 5-year-old body. But it also doesn't make a lot of sense when you're in a 20, 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old body. You're like, I am feeling something, but it doesn't make any sense. And yesterday I was on a call with a whole bunch of people doing this monthly class that we've been doing called Are You Too Big for This Reality? And one of the things that we began to recognize is that there's some sort of shift happening. And let's be honest, there's always a shift happening on the planet because the planet doesn't really ever stay still. Consciousness doesn't ever really stay still. We don't ever really stay still. And so as we navigate the changes of life, the changes of growing, the changes of becoming hopefully more aware, more in tune with what we all know, we begin to sort of dive into what it is we know. And oftentimes we're like, hey, Susanna. Hi, Suzanne. Oftentimes we're like, oh, we don't want to know, or, oh, I don't know. So if somebody says, well, what do you know about this topic? And you're like, I don't know. 90, sorry, there goes my dryer. That's the last time that it will buzz. But 99% of the time when we say we don't know, it's not that we don't know, we just might not have the words for it. Maybe it shows up as a weird sensation in our body. There's no conclusion to it, or we're just not willing to know what we know. And so with my 8-year-old, I'll ask him questions all the time, and he goes through these like emotional experiences. So he gets sad a lot and he'll cry for no reason. At least from an outside perspective, he's crying for no reason, right? But what I know is that he's aware of something. He just doesn't know how to put words to it. So it comes through him like an emotional tsunami. And the only thing he knows how to do in this moment in time is to cry it out. So last night I'm on the phone with him and we FaceTime when he's with his dad. Of course, we don't have to FaceTime when he's with me. And we were FaceTiming. He just started crying, and I was like, I could tell what was up with him, but he didn't want to talk about it. And so I just was like, it's okay, bud, cry it out. You don't need to put words to it. You're not wrong for crying it out, and also you're not wrong for what you know. And I said to him, what do you know? And he goes, I'm not willing to know. And I said, is it true that you're not willing to know, or do you actually know, you just don't want to talk about it? And he was like, oh, I actually know and I don't want to talk about it. I said, that's fair. You don't have to talk about it. I just want you to know you're not wrong for what you're aware of, and you're not wrong for crying, and you're not wrong for your feelings. So often we think that we're wrong if what we perceive doesn't match up to anybody else's awareness or doesn't match up to anybody else's conclusion. The truth is, my friends, that you've always known, your body's always known. We just don't always have the translation for what it is that we know. And sometimes when we verbalize what we know changes, right? Anybody with me? If you guys are here, type yes in the comments. Yes, you're following. Give a heart, whatever floats your boat. But this piece around knowing really truly is, I'm going to call it, it's personal to each of you. So each of you perceive energy and possibilities, and maybe you perceive heavy and things that you shouldn't choose, or know that if you choose them, they're not going to create exactly what you'd like to create. Each of us perceives and receives the information in our own way. So it is unique to each of us. So if you are trying to go, oh, I better figure out how Katherine reads energy or perceives energy so that I can do it. No, your body is made up of different molecules and different organisms and different DNA than my body. And so neither of us, or none of us, really, truly have the same exact experience. We perceive and receive the information in our own unique way. And so when you recognize, type yes if you agree. Yes, says Shabnan. Shabnan, I love it. And I love your mask. Can I have one of those? I love that mask. I want one. And I love your picture. That's awesome. So it's like, all of us perceive energy in our own way, and all of us either verbalize it or receive it or communicate it in different ways. Communication isn't always verbal. Body language is 90% of communication, right? Energy is 90% of communication. And so what if, as you look at as you look at your future, as you look at things, what if you could just allow yourself to begin to perceive, sort of like if you've ever gone to the zoo and witnessed a tiger walking back and forth, right? It used to be one of my son and I's. I love it. You guys are amazing. Thank you, Suzanne. We used to watch this tiger walk back and forth with my son. And whenever this tiger walked, it was like, and so we wouldn't necessarily put words to what we were feeling. We would just witness the energy of it. So it's like watching something from like as a witness, as a third party perspective. Right. And so when you witness your feelings, what you're perceiving, your emotions, and you don't take them personally, you can then be aware of what they're here to contribute to you. Make sense? Does it make sense? Hopefully it makes sense. So my friends, I just want to invite you into a different world, a different possibility where you do know. And maybe you're aware of things changing on the planet. Maybe you're aware of the election in the US. Maybe you're aware of your parents who live in a different country or are far away. And the minute you become aware of that, you can ask, what do you know? Okay. Sometimes instead of saying, I don't know, it serves you to say, I'm not willing to know in this moment in time. Because the truth is, we always know. And the truth is, sometimes we're not willing to know, or we don't know how to put words to what it is we know, right? And so next week, with the election coming up, I've decided to do a class on lies. And we're actually doing an intro class. It's $10, right? I want to see how many people we can get to come onto this call, because here's what's happening. We have an election in the US, and it is primarily based on lies, right? We sometimes impel lies onto our body, right? We sometimes project lies onto other people. And lies, when you're living in a lie, it does not allow for the greatness to come through. Suzanne says exactly. And so what I want to do next week is we're doing an intro call. It's $10 on lies, and you're invited. And look, anything that we can do, because we know that 100 people choosing something, it's like the 100 monkey syndrome, it can change the face of consciousness, right? 1,000 people doing something can change the face of government. And so what is it that you've been lying to you about your knowing, that if you began to discover the truth of what's true for you, you could make a much greater impact, not just for you and your choices and you and your future and you and your life, but for the planet, for greater consciousness, for a world where we're not controlled by government, where we're not controlled by the coronavirus, where we're not controlled by things that aren't actually true. Because the truth is, what is going on right now on the planet is a lie. And we're being forced to live in a way that isn't our natural state of being. So, my friends, if you're watching this and you are sitting in a place where you're like, wow, I could make an impact on the planet for $10 to create something different. And wow, if I was willing to know what's true for me. So this is about discovering the truth of who you are. You are not a finite being. You don't really live in fear. You're just told that you should be afraid. You don't really, live in lack. It's just your points of views that create the lie of what you think is true. And so we're going to dive in to a $10 call so you can see what's actually true. So if you'd like to join along, let's see, I think the link, I'll type it in the chat, is katherinemcintosh.com/Laz. And you'll have two choices. You can join just the taster for $10, or you are so welcome, Subnan. And I'm so sorry if I'm butchering your name. I kind of stink at names. I really apologize. But you can discover what's true for you. So the taster is only $10, but you can also come to the 3-call series, which is $150, and the taster would be included. So we're going to dive into this topic in a way that begins to invite you to discover what's true for you. Because the truth is, I don't know what's true for you. Only you do. You know, and I recently was like, oh, wow, there's a lot of places. Awesome, Subnan. Thank you. There's a lot of places where we all lie to ourselves. And I recently was like, wow, I lie to myself all the time and I didn't know it. And now that I'm beginning to be aware of it, it's changing a lot of things in my life. It's making choice a lot easier. And it's inviting me to sort of challenge myself to look at, wow, if I was functioning from what's true, what impact on the planet would I make? So if you, my friends, were functioning from what's true for you, what impact would you make on the planet? Probably way more than you've ever acknowledged. So I want to invite you to please share this. Feel free to please share the link if you know anyone who could benefit. And if you want to help us change the planet, change the face of consciousness, and change possibilities in the world, you're invited to a intro telecall on lives. You're also welcome to the whole series if you'd like, but you're invited to discover what's true for you. And, you know, the truth is you're an infinite being. You always have been. And you, wherever you go in the world, you make an impact. You make an impact. So, to the impact you came here to be, instead of letting things just happen, being an allowance of the fact that you're different. You always have been different, and you know. So I want to thank you for joining me, for taking time out of your day. If this inspired you or sparked something, type aha in the chat. Please feel free to like, share, and comment. And as always, my friends, stay true to you, because judgment is the lie. Concluding is the lie, and ain't nobody got time for that, because it is time to be you and be the change you came here to be. So thank you for joining me on the No Judgment Diet. Thank you for joining me wherever you're joining me from. And please feel free to share this video. And we'll see you next time, my friends. You are a gift. And again, it's not that you don't know, right? So instead of saying, I don't know, next time you catch yourself saying that, go, wow, I'm not willing to know, and see what shows up in your world. You are so welcome, my dear. Thank you for being here. Aha! I like it, Suzanne. Shabnam. I'm sorry. I'm totally butchering it, but I adore you guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you next time. And as always, be aware, be amazing, and don't ever stop being you. Bye for now.